Hello and welcome to our pitch for our horror movie that is called Human Carvery.
The subgenre we have chosen to base our horror trait on is going to be slasher. The slasher genre is one of the most important, iconic and well-known subgenres regarding horror and is home to some of the most well-known horror films ever made. We have chosen to work with this subgenre because we feel we are able to deliver a realistic and conventional piece of work which will attract the traditional slasher target audience. This clip is an example of a very successful slasher film.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
Tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You're making popcorn?
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies. Now he's taking his love of fear
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
one step too far.
Do you like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie. Number one, you can never have sex. Never, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. You know the beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
He made the rules.
These rules are track and they got you prom night at the same time.
He just kills by them. Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
Everybody, let's not back.
Not scared, are you?
Scream.
Slasher, as previously mentioned, is where some of the most iconic films and film trailers have been made. Through the use of jump scares and brutal murders, it keeps the audience on the edge of their seat. Scream, 1996, was the start of a new age for the slasher genre. The audience began not to be able to tell the ending to a film and so became more scared of the killers. The killers began to survive and star in sequels which created well-known franchises. Here is another example of a very popular slasher film which went on to become a very successful film franchise.
I want to play a game.
The Jigsaw Killer. Technically speaking, he's not really a murderer. He never killed anyone. He finds ways for his victims to kill themselves.
Hello, Adam. Dr. Warden.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
Let the game begin. If you want to die, just have to stay where you are. Live or die. Make your choice.
As the trailers have shown, this subgenre can help us create a fast-paced trailer that includes the codes and conventions needed to make a convincing media package.
So when first coming up with our the narrative for our film, we had some initial ideas. For example, the name, which was Human Carvery, which is due to kind of resembles the gruesome scenes that will be within the film.
We decided to choose a butcher as the villain because obviously as a butcher he has access to the tools and facilities where he can dismember bodies, and he has a passion for eating flesh.
Our victims, we tried to stay conventional to the horror genre, and more specifically slasher. So we have a group of young teenage friends, some school students that are going to be eventually killed.
The murdering or butchering location will be a dimly lit garage, which belongs to the butcher and will be located in the woods.
And we have a list of props and tools here that will be used. I'm not going to run through them all because there's loads, but an example of a few that we have, for example, a wheelchair and some duct tape. We also have access to a prosthetic hand, which is quite useful, so I'm going to be using that as part of one of the body parts that's going to be dismembered.
We have a few taglines, so if you could put your hands up if you like the tagline that I read out. So the first one is, all you can kill is all you can eat. Do you like that? Okay, second. What he kills is what he eats. And he is what he eats. Cool.
So these are a few props. I'm just going to run through and explain what each of them are going to be used for, because we've got some quite gruesome things like dripping blood you can see there, and duct tape that can be quite, well, it can be quite scary. So we have the like a meat hanger, where in the garage of the butcher he's going to be hanging meat from, and we don't know whether that's human meat or whether that's animal meat. Next we have the prosthetic hand, which of course we will be using. We have a wheelchair which our victims are going to be tied to with the duct tape which follows that, and it's going to be explained to them how they're going to be killed by our butcher murderer. How is he going to explain it to them? Well, he's going to have a flip chart, which is the next picture, and then after he's killed them he's going to be eating them. So we have a nice dinner plate there. He's just going to be eating them off, and then of course some blood and a shower curtain, which is where he does the killing behind within the garage.
So our actual villain will look something like this. We just put this together, and obviously as a butcher he'll have pigs, so this is meant to be a real pig, and the eyes are kind of hollowed out so you can see his eyes, which makes it, I think, a bit more scary. And then when he's actually eating the victims, he will be dressed very smartly, ready to go to dinner, so in a suit.
And we have actually ordered that mask, it's due to come today.
Notable quotations at this point. Each film has a very well-known quotation. This one's from it, "I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your fear." We're currently in the process of watching horror films as a group, trying to look for ideas that we could use.
So the target audience for our horror film is that there will be a male demographic with the ages between 15 and 23. So this is ideally because the victims in our film will be able to relate with the people watching, as there will be similar ages which will link. As well, they'll be studying at university and be fascinated by psychology, as with slasher there's also some psychological elements of the stalking and all that, so they're quite interested in doing that. And they enjoy also seeing the torturing and gruesome horrors and blood, guts and gore on screen. As well, they enjoy going out with their mates and partying as well, because they're fun people, and they pleasure in drinking alcohol when they're out as well. But when they're not partying, they enjoy taking part in sports and keeping their body nice and healthy. As well, they enjoy reading psychological and slasher novels. This is because they like to see, when film adaptations are done, they like to see what they imagine, see how they can compare it with what they see on the big silver screen.
Thanks for listening. Do you have any questions?
Why did you choose a butcher as the villain?
We thought, as his profession as a butcher, obviously, he would have the access to the tools and obviously his butcher shop. So he could do it quite discreetly as a butcher, and we thought it would be a good idea to use him.
Are your victims stereotypical for the slasher genre?
Yes, they will be. So it will be a group of teenagers. There will be a final girl as well, and there will always be a first girl. So the first girl will be most likely a bit of a slut. So she'll be dressed up in short clothes. She'll be always flirting with the boys and she'll be doing lots of drugs, alcohol, and having sex with the boys, which makes her very ominous to be the first victim.
How are you going to enforce a fear factor?
The way we're going to do this is obviously through our villain, and as it's not a paranormal villain, it's it's a butcher, which is a person. However, the way we're going to be filming him, or the way he's going to feature in the trailer, is you're never going to see his face. He's always going to have the mask on, and when he doesn't, you're only going to be able to see the back of his head through dim lighting, and you'll never speak either, other than a few words to the victims as he's killing them, which I think sort of gives more of a scare factor if you can't hear his voice and you can't imagine what he looks like or who is under that mask. So yes, thank you for listening.